remedial measure, the council has devised a mechanism of capturing properties and having them on title as and when plot numbers are picked and survey diagrams are prepared. The next chair relates to CDF, and the first subscript is Wacha constituents, bullet 1, stored works, construction of changing rooms and toilets at Indeni grounds. I'll go to page 14 where there is reason for the query. Council acknowledges the author's observations and wishes to state that the stored works at Indeni grounds were caused by insufficient funds that were initially allocated to the project. This project was initially allocated 215,000 kwacha by the CDF committee to complete the works. This amount had a shortfall as the initial engineer's estimate was 249,000. This shortfall of 34,000 hindered the progress of the works as it was insufficient to complete the works. The pending works included painting, plumbing, and connections to the service lines. Action taken: the council completed the works at Indeni grounds and just awaiting connection of water and power, whose approval was given in the 2023 CDF allocation, and 50,000 kwacha has been allocated as additional funding. Remedial measure: the council through the CDF committee resolved to do away with labor-based contracts and instead place all contracts on full commercial basis. Further, the council wishes to report that the project was completed awaiting connection of power and water. The second bullet relates to stored works, construction of a modern toilet at Kawama Market. A reason for the query: on page 16, the council acknowledges the author's observations and wishes to state that the stored works at Kawama Modern Ablution Block was as a result of insufficient funds that were allocated to the project. The mode of funding was allocate funds in phases, and that at every phase additional funds were required up to the time of fully completing the project. Action taken.
So, Council Town Clerk,
yes, sir.
Feel free to speak to the report,
okay,
because you are familiar with the report. You may need not read word for word, but speak to the report,
okay,
and you can run us through.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So, action taken, Chair. 95%. The progress is at 95% in terms of the walls, and the contractor is still on site doing the finishings. And 2023 we are scheduled to commission this project. Remedial measure, like I said previously, we are doing away with labor-based contracts so that the risk of delayed completion is passed on to the contractors. The next bullet is on drilling of boreholes. The reason for the query: we wish to acknowledge the author's observations, and we wish to state that the 2 boreholes that were reported not to have been drilled were actually drilled, but were not just visited due to impassable roads at the time of audit. The 8 boreholes were just waiting installation of hand pumps. On page 18, Chair, we are reporting on action taken that the hand pumps have been installed. The works, however, were not done satisfactorily, and the defects were reported within the period of 2 weeks after installation. The council went ahead and we terminated the contract to be later awarded to more serious contractor who will complete the works at the additional cost of 40,000. In terms of remedial measure, we wish to assure the committee that we ensure due diligence is observed during the tendering process to avoid contractors defaulting on projects. I move to Kabwe Central. The first bullet relates to over expenditure on the project of construction of Nakoli Clinic Mothers Shelter. On page 19, the reason for the query: we wish to state that the over expenditure on the construction of the Mothers Shelter was due to price fluctuations on the building materials. The action taken is that additional funding was secured to cushion the over expenditure, and the project was funded under 2022 with an addition of 560,000 to complete on full contract basis. In terms of remedial measure, like I stated before, due diligence will be observed during tender processes so that we avoid recurrence of the same problems. The next bullet relates to failure to implement CDF-funded projects, approved and funded. This relates to 5 projects: drainage works in Katondo, sealing of Katondo Police Post, completion of Kamchanga Police Post, and completion of Mulungushi Primary School, as well as completion of police post at Kaflamase. The reasons for the query mainly, Chair, relates to the funds not being adequate, and lack of specialized construction materials, which ran short of supply during COVID-19. Because of the restrictions, action taken, we wish to report that the projects have since been completed. Remedial measure, like stated before, we will continue to do due diligence and award contracts on full contracts instead of labor-based. The second relates to sealing at Katondo Police Station. The works were stored, Chair, as a result of unforeseen additional works that needed attention before installation of the sealing board. We want to report as action taken that the police station has been completed, and today, Chair, as an addition, it is being commissioned. On C, Kamchanga Police Post, we wish to state that the implemented project was due to insufficient funds on the already running 2019 projects. We want to report as action taken that Council through CDF committee will ensure that the incomplete project is completed, and as a remedial measure, we will conduct all the projects or implement all projects on full contract so as to quicken the implementation of the projects. D, completion of Mulungushi Primary School. We acknowledge the auditor's observation and wish to state that the reason for not completing was insufficient funds, and want to report that as an action taken, funds have been allocated, the additional funds, to complete the project in this year, 2023. Remedial measure, the council will conduct all projects on full contract basis. E, the construction of police posts at Kaflamase. I'll go to page 9. Is it? Yeah, reason for the query. We wish to state that the unimplemented project of constructing a police post at Kaflamase was due to insufficient funds, and as an action taken, the CDF committee has allocated additional funds under the 2023 to finish the project. The next one is Magandanyama School. Chair, the reasons are on page 24, I beg your pardon. The reason essentially is that initially the land was reserved for construction of the healthy post. So the same plot also, that's where the school was being constructed. And as an action taken, the council involved the district health office to intervene by assisting the council with evidence of ownership of the site in question. The project has since changed from a school to a clinic at a cost of 1.4 million. As a remedial measure, the council will conduct all socio-economic assessments during field appraisal to ascertain ownership of land on similar projects to avoid delay. On page 25, Chair, there's completion of a mother's shelter and plumbing works of toilet at Pollen Clinic, delayed completion. The reasons are on page 26. We acknowledge auditor's observation and wish to state that the delay in completion of the works at Pollen Clinic was due to insufficient allocation of the funds. The initial allocation was meant to construct the master's shelter up to opulent level and fabricate trusses. As an action taken, Council through the CDF committee has allocated additional funding of 405,000 kwacha to the project to ensure that the works are completed, and this will happen in 2023 under the 2023 funding. The next query at G, Chair, relates to management of liabilities, and Roman numeral 1 relates to failure to remit statutory and other obligations. And I move to page 27 to state that the failure to remit the statutory contributions was due to financial challenges the Council was facing during the period. As an action taken, the Council wishes to report that we have come up with a payment plan which will enable us to liquidate the outstanding obligations. As at 31st December 2022, Chair, Government through Ministry of Finance did liquidate on behalf of the Council an amount totaling to 9.2 million kwacha to ZRA to reduce the indebtedness. Further, the Council has a payment plan to continue making the payments. As regards NAPSA, an engagement was made with NAPSA officials on the modalities to liquidate the outstanding debt, and one of the measures is debt swap with land, as well as making cash commitments, and as at now we have paid 194,000 kwacha. The next one relates to NIMA. I wish to report that we have made strides as regards NIMA and Madison Insurance. The officers are now able to access the services, so we have entered into a payment plan. In terms of Zulao and Fayasus, the unions, the Council has cleared Fayasus the 10,000 debt that was outstanding. As for Zulao, we have continued liquidating the debt, and currently the balance is at 330,162 kwacha. There is an outstanding arrangement where we'll be paying 10,000 kwacha towards liquidation of the debt, whilst paying the current contributions as they fall due on a monthly basis. Remedial measure Council ensure that more resources are mobilized and allocated towards debt liquidation. Further, there is a payment plan in place to ensure that the Council continues liquidating statutory contributions and other obligations on a monthly basis. Roman 2, failure to settle staff obligations. The reason for the query, I move to page 29. Council acknowledges the author's observations and wishes to state that the failure to remit the contributions is due to financial challenges. As an action taken, we wish to indicate that we have made strides to pay off the obligations. As at December 2022, the Council paid a total of 829,580 in terminal benefits and 102 towards long service bonus. In 2023, this year we have already paid 215,000 kwacha towards terminal benefits. As a remedial measure, we will ensure that more resources are mobilized and ensure that we adhere to the payment plan, which we are setting aside 100,000 kwacha on a monthly basis. Chair, I wish to assure this honorable committee that Kawa Municipal Council is committed to ensuring that the stated remedial measures are adhered to, and reaffirm Council's dedication in providing municipal services to the residents of Kabwe. Thank you. I submit, Mr. Chairperson.
Town Clerk, thank you so much for your submission, and we will now ask our committee members to speak and interrogate the report so they seek clarifications. Honorable members.
Thank you, Chair. TC, you are welcome. And looking at the remedial measures, they can give hope. But we would want to get clarification of what transpired in that year. Now, looking at budget and income, looking at the budget and income, all of them, they are in negatives. Now, when you look at the local taxes, you've given the response where you are saying failure on government to remit personal levies for civil servants caused you to fail to get the needed revenue. Are you telling us that if we are to get the amount of money the government was supposed to remit on taxes and the difference, this would have been covered and you'd have gotten to 100%?
Town Clerk, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I thank you very much for that question seeking clarification. I think the reasons that are given are two, principally. The first one is what the Honorable Member has stated, and the second one relates to the COVID-19. So the one the Honorable Member stated relates to personal levy. Within the local taxes, there are rates and also the personal levy. So yes, if government gives us, then that component will have been resolved, but will still remain with the other one on the rates, which I think in the remedial measure, I think and action taken, we are saying, right, we have instituted, is it warrants of distress? And we have, I think it has been able to give us some good recoveries, yeah, on that.
Thank you, Chair. TC, at what point did you realize you are not going to manage to correct the revenue because of the reasons you've attributed to here, that you could not do the budget review?
Yes, you can respond to that.
Thank you very much, Chair. I hope I will not appear as if I'm running away from responsibility, but I think at the time the things were happening, I was managing a different station. So maybe I can respond to that using maybe the 2022 scenario. The Honorable Member is right. We are supposed to review these budgets because they are prepared by us, implemented by us, and the like. So those weaknesses that were there in 2021, for example, in 2022, they don't exist. So we have taken, we knew that was a weakness, and we have taken corrective measures.
Sorry, Chair. On that one, when you are preparing this document, I'm sure, because there is an issue of you succeeding on the system that had still a system then, right? And information you are giving here is information you are given. And if you are given this information, are you telling me you wouldn't have been given the information on why the review was not done?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. In terms of reviewing the budget, we review them as and when we implement. And traditionally in local government, we review budgets somewhere June, August, somewhere there, September. Those budgets are reviewed. No wonder I indicated that at that time, I was not there, and I gave an experience of 2022 when I was at the station in Kabwe.
Town Clerk?
Yes, sir.
Just to caution you, management is by perpetual succession. So there's no period when there is a vacancy in your office. So you take over responsibility of all the weaknesses and the successes of that office. And you're seated there to defend Kabwe Municipal Council. Not to defend yourself as an individual or to malign your predecessor, but you're there to defend the office. So if the office lapsed, you are on firm ground to say, on this matter we lapsed, and we have put in measures to correct this. That's management by perpetual succession. And so you can continue to respond to the Honorable Member's question.
Thank you for the guidance, Chair. Maybe it's the way I put it. because exactly what you have said, Chair, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah, that at that time, that didn't happen. But for 2022, for example, we have corrected those weaknesses. I think that's the language I used. And then the remedial measures are working right now, Chair. Thank you.
Right. Have you exhausted? Right. So a follow-up question from Honorable Smumba.
Thank you very much, Chair. On the very locally generated funds, the budget was about 57 million, 846, 530. You only managed to raise 23 million, 547. The question is, how do you discharge your mandate, really, if you are failing to collect revenue for the people of Kabwe? I submit, Chair.
Proceed with response, Town Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I can openly say that if revenue is not collected, I think residents suffer because we provide inadequate services. And so if you open radio stations and the like, you get that outcry and the like. We regret that. And that's why in our submission, we would like the committee to take solace in the fact that there are these remedial measures that we have taken, and we really want to improve on efficiencies in terms of revenue collection, so that even the volume of services that are provided is also increased. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much indeed. Another follow-up question, Honorable Masauso.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, TC. Just a follow-up question from what Honorable Simomba has asked, budget income. What strategy has management come up with to improve revenue collection? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think from our analysis when we sat down, we thought that engaging people to educate them on the importance of paying, taxes to the council, and also getting feedback from them on why they are failing to pay. Yeah, so that is strategy number one, sensitization. And right now we are doing sensitizations. In the second quarter, we'll go for more sensitizations and the like. For customers or clients that even after sensitization, we don't get a positive response, those are the ones that we go really for the last resort of the warrants of distress or legal action. And then just as a reminder, we also do the radio programs, the reminders on the radio programs. And we also, once we issue bills, we also do the public address system, especially around 19 hours when I think, according to our assumptions, everyone is at home trying to catch the news on TV and having dinners in their living rooms. So we do a public address system just to remind the members. I can confirm that the results are positive from those strategies. I thank you.
Follow-up question, Honorable Kapampi.
Over the same, out of curiosity, I would like to find out in terms of percentage for your 2022 budget. Looking at 2021, you performed below par, which was below 50%. Would you tell this House if at all there has been improvement in terms of percentage for 2022? I submit, Chair.
Yes, Chair, for 2022, we are above 90% in terms of performance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Town Clerk. We'll wrap up on issues of revenue with just a few comments. The Council has the imperative of providing social services to the people. And for you to provide those social services, you need revenue. The community must be involved in resolving their own problems. And that's why the community have to be sensitized on the importance of paying taxes and levies. Revenue collection goes beyond sensitization. The Council itself must map all the business opportunities within its jurisdiction. and create a database and be able to have an electronic method to efficiently capture revenue so that you can raise enough revenue for you to plow back into service delivery. That is your inescapable imperative. Would like to see you jack up your efforts to raise revenue. If you need to invest in human capital that is aggressive to ensure that you raise more revenue, do that. If you need to invest in an electronic platform, do that. But do not miss any opportunity to raise revenue, because your ability to provide services is directly correlated to the revenue that you collect. So we would like to see that next year your numbers are showing that this is your projected revenue, your projected income. We need you to surpass it or match it, and we need to see that translate into proper service delivery for the people of Kabwe. So that's the challenge we're going to give you. We wouldn't like to see negative variances in your revenue, because that will reflect on your ability to provide services. If you are unable to provide adequate services, it will reflect on the people. Either there will be outbreak of diseases, there will be poor quality of life, and there will be many other impacts that the community will complain about. And even the environment, the business environment, will not be conducive for investment. So thank you very much. We will move to the next item on operational matters. Integrated Development Plan, Town Clerk. We note that you did not have an integrated development plan. Maybe you could educate us what an integrated development plan is and what it is used for.
Thank you very much, Chair. Essentially, the Integrated Development Plan is a blueprint that defines development priorities for the district. It's the term that has changed. I'm sure at the time you were in the civil service, sir, you used to call it DDP, the District Development Plan.
I'm still a civil servant.
Sure. Okay, so what makes it integrated is that, as opposed to the previous way of each sector preparing their sectoral plan, now all the sectors bring their input into this development. So it's an integration, a multi-sector approach. The law, that is Act number 3 of 2015, the Urban and Regional Planning Act, provides that each district must have that. Immediately after an election is done, and then the council must be able to make a resolution and initiate that process. When we look, so it was a lapse on the part of the council not to prepare it at that time.
Right. So when you've defined it very well.
Yes.
And today, yes, we encourage all sectors to coordinate, and your council is the convening point for sectors to coordinate to ensure that you address all the social determinants of development in your jurisdiction. That you didn't have it, how did you expect to develop? How did you expect to implement any programs without your plan in specific sectors in an integrated manner?
Yeah, we apologize that that was a weakness, but at institutional level, I wish to submit that each sector still had a strategic plan. For example, the council had what it called the Kabwe Transformation Plan, which had the lifespan from 2016 to 2021. So that is how the district used to operate. They were still guided by the strategic plans in the respective sectors.
So you are submitting that it is not necessary to have an integrated plan. After all, everyone can operate on their own.
No, that was a weakness.
Right.
That was a weakness.
Yeah, it is extremely important that you have a plan at inception, which identifies priorities And it is those priorities that inform your actions. And as sectors receive resources from various sectors, that's why there's decentralization, and there's supposed to be now coordination at that local level. So it is imperative that you have an IDP, and you cannot carry on as a council without an IDP. It can't be an academic exercise for you to tick that we have an IDP. No, no, no. It is something that should inform your actions. A plan identifies priorities, and you even have an M&E framework so that you are able to track performance. You set time-bound targets in an integrated fashion. So not having it is a red flag, and the committee may not be satisfied with the explanation that we have now done it and we're waiting for its approval and so on and so forth. It means you're treating it as an academic exercise. It is something that should come at inception, and it should inform your actions going forward. Follow-up question, Honorable Kolala.
Thank you, Chair. And you've explained it very well. Looking at this act, it's an act of 2015. And when we look at the reason for the query, you're saying it was due to liquidity issue. Could it be true that liquidity issue from 2015 to 2021? I think that one will get it also from your response. The other question would be, do you think this could have affected your performance? Maybe if this was in place, your performance would have been better than what you did. Thank you, Chair.
Town Clerk.
Excuse me. Thank you very much, Chair, for that question. Yes, the preparation of the IDP involves money, and we have financial challenges. But I think also once we prioritize something, we are able to do it amid these challenges. So I think we have already admitted that that was a weakness on our part, and now we feel that we are on the right trajectory. Although, Chair, you are communicating that you are not very satisfied because it's not yet approved. We endeavor that it is approved. But even if it's a draft, I can also confirm that much of the activities that we are doing are already informed by those, because that's what stakeholders told us. Those are their priorities. So we are already respecting the people's wishes. In terms of the second part on whether it affected that, in theory they say when you are planning, if you are not planning, then you are planning to fail. So if I borrowed that, then there could be some percentage of the cause maybe to that, although I can't quantify at the moment what percentage of impact contributed to that, Chair. Thank you very much.
Town Clerk, thank you very much. We'll move to our next priority with just a few comments to wrap up. And coherence in your activities at council level among stakeholders is extremely important. Decentralization is constitutional. Government has moved forward to even devolve matching resources to councils. So if you look at your IDP, say under education, you map what educational facilities exist. Under health, you map what health facilities exist. You look at the performance indicators. Under health, you may look at immunization. You may look at other indicators that define the health of the people. Then you identify priorities. So as you receive your CDF, as you look at the bottom-up approach from your development committees, into your CDF committee, you want to speak to your IDF in terms of the identified priorities from your integrated development plan. So it is imperative that you expedite, you accelerate the conclusion of your integrated development plan and start referring to it as you implement development in a coordinated and coherent manner. Town Clerk will move to the third one, Honorable Smumba.
Thank you very much, Chair. On page 6, failure to collect revenue from lease of council properties. Chair, according to the reasons, the weakness in the collection of revenue from rented properties for the council as of 2021 was due to the fact that at the time of budgeting, management used the data which had duplicated properties in the system, which caused double billing. I wanted to find out, Chair, why did it take the external auditors to come and identify that there were this duplicated or double billing of the system, and who is in charge of this system? I thank you, Chair.
Town Clerk, proceed.
Chair, can I request my colleague, the Director of Finance, to come in?
Please proceed.
I was asking your indulgence if I can allow the Director of Finance to come in.
Director of Finance, please come in.
Thank you, Chair. Of course, we are using currently PalmSoft. This is a software which we are using for billing purposes. And at that time, of course, according to my honorable, he has asked to say why it has taken that time for the external auditors to do the same, to discover the problem. We are quick to mention that, of course, the issue was discovered in audit. It only took a bit of time to normalize the situations on the ground. However, steps have been taken. As we have already reported, a lot of work was done to clean up the system. We have a cleaned up system now, which is now able to give the factual information. And that has also even helped us to ensure that we raise the required revenue as it is reported. I submit, Chair.
Chair, thank you very much. The system continued billing vacant properties. And why did it take that long for you to clean up the system or the database so that you can get the correct information? I submit, Chair.
Chair, we admit, of course, there was lapse because in the reasons, people who had vacated the premises, maybe without proper notification to the council, so that they are removed from the system. So I believe that that's why the system always generates, every monthly it generates what is due to it. Hence, having realized that the stores or the properties were vacant, and we've since removed those, and now we've cleaned the system as we have submitted. So it was a lapse on our part. And the clients, of course, during COVID, it was like an emergency, somebody's operating, and then we lacked maybe proper supervision on the ground. But we have put in the mechanism to ensure that we visit those properties through housing department. I submit, Chair.
Honorable Smumba, are you satisfied? Okay, Honorable Kalala, you can follow up.
Yes, just a follow-up, Chair. I think this can't just end at looking at it to say we use wrong data, it was duplication. It also borders on the personnel. It also borders on personnel. do we say these people are dealing with this data were not qualified, or it was a matter of just negligence?
Chair, as we earlier stated, of course, the Honorable might be right. There was maybe negligence. No wonder there's these issues of staff movements. Earlier we submitted that I'm just 7 months to 8 months now. And these issues that we have seen, we've just done them now so that we move in a correct way. So we admit there was negligence. I submit, Chair.
Right. You want us to bring your predecessor to come and defend himself?
No, Chair.
Or you are taking responsibility?
We have taken responsibility, Chair.
Right. That's important.
Sure, Chair.
Right. Honorable Kampampi?
Chair, I just want to find out what role was the internal audit office role. If the internal auditors couldn't pick up on this, then it had to take external auditors to come and find out that they were actually billing, duplicating in terms of billing. What role was internal auditing playing at that particular moment? I submit, Chair.
Town Clerk?
Yes, Chair. I've come with the Chief Internal Auditor.
Chief Internal Auditor?
Thank you, Chair, for that question. Like the DF has already stated, at some point internal audit did an audit of the system, and those issues were discovered and brought to the attention of management. But I think took a bit of some time for management to act upon that. I submit, Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Kolala?
Thank you, Chair. There is party two there, failure to operate motel. You're saying the council wishes to submit that Mlongoshi motel was non-functional and in dilapidated state due to liquidity challenges facing by the council. In addition, you are saying even when it was functioning, the motel could not raise sustainable revenue. Why did you give yourself the idea that you are going to raise the revenue from this and you put it in the plan when it was not functional? It was dilapidated like you've described it.
Town Clerk?
Thank you, Chair. I think the major, like we have stated somewhere, is I think the running of the motel by the council. I think we were very slow in my analysis to cope with competition. Yeah, that was coming. I think you remember in olden days, you travel, you go to a council motel and the like. But over the years, businesses have sprung up in the hospitality industry, and I think we are not able to keep the standards. And so even loyal clients ran away. Yeah. So at the time we were putting it in the budget. I think there was an expectation that we can still raise the revenue based on historical data, because that's part of the input in the process you analyze. So based on historical data, I think we had hope that we can still collect this money. But I think during implementation, it proved otherwise, and we had no business until it was closed. Thank you.
Honorable, please proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. When you look at the very motel, Chair, they have even stated it to say it wasn't in operation for the period of more than 4 years. So now one would wonder why they budgeted for it when it wasn't in operation for more than 4 years. So I would want to find out why. Was it included in the budget when you knew that surely it wasn't operating? I thank you, Chair.
Town Clerk, as you trying to build on your initial response that you're relying on historical data, I'll allow Honorable Kolala to come in. It's on the same matter as well.
Thank you, Chair. For me, the worrying part is the action taken, where you're saying you are trying to mobilize the resources, and you've brought in issues of PPP, you brought in issues of Ministry of Finance and National Planning, but there's no time frame. And you know, the issue of correcting revenue should be an urgent issue. What are you telling us?
Thank you, Chair. I love the passion that is in the honorable member. Even in the passion is also in the question. Maybe to start with the first one, Chair, the query is on failure to operate. Yeah, so meaning that we didn't actually budget for revenue under that year because the motel was not operational. So we are giving reasons why it wasn't operational. And then we are stating what we are doing. Then now I move to the second part of the other member. When we did an analysis, I think allocating money there, like from our capital budget, I think it was not proving to be feasible because we need a wholesale, change of the facelift of the motel. So right now, what is in our mind is actually to upgrade it to either a 3-star or 4-star hotel, and that is why the concept of the PPP is coming in. So we are at concept note stage, and so once this stage passes, the period that we have planned or project that we can be done with the approvals, the preliminary approvals, is this year 2023, so that come 2024 maybe we have constructions on site. You know, the PPP model takes a little bit of time because the concept note has to be approved, you have to advertise for interest, and then you shortlist. Then those that are shortlisted, they submit detailed proposals, you see, you evaluate, you pick, and you go. No wonder we have allocated the whole of this to handle process. Thank you, Chair.
As we human capital, we would like to wrap up on, and we will use the question that the Honorable Kolal had asked you, or the comment he made on human capital. It was a follow-up to your statement when you said that there were challenges in upgrading the database, and you was asking on the caliber of the human capital. You similarly said that your lodge could not match the competition with the private sector. That's where we would like to set the bar high.
Sure.
Do not allow the council to submit to inferiority in any sector. The council can have the highest caliber of human capital to manage its assets, and it must aspire to do that. And this notion that in the public sector we should have inadequate human capital and the private sector should have the best human capital must come to a stop. And it's either we're creating, yes, a partnership with the private sector, or we are recruiting the best human capital to manage our work. And so if you're running a lodge or a hotel, you must pitch your standards high. So human capital for revenue collection, human capital for management of assets, human capital for all sectors must be pitched high. That will reflect on your overall performance as the council and as the town clerk. We'll continue with human capital matters. Honorable Kolal.
Thank you, Chair. On page 9, query D, management of payroll and other staff-related matters. I don't know, through you, Chair, to me, looking at this question, when you look at the reasons for query, for us to continue asking questions here, there must just be one confirmation that has to be given. If not, that's when we can ask the question. Here, your response here saying the issue of staff is not your issue. It's the issue of local government commission, local government service commission. Did the council request for this staff? I think it's from there. If you tell us if you did not, because if you did not ask for staff, there's no need of us querying you. We need to wait for the person who did the thing, Chair. Thank you.
Did you get that question, Town Clerk?
Yes, I heard the question.
Proceed.
Clearly. Yeah, so I will not take it as a polar question, but maybe I need some explanation to give. Yeah, so when requesting for human resources, we request one based on the establishment and secondly on the budget. So all requests that we make are within the budget and within the establishment. So the requests, the staff that we received, yes, some were requested, but some were not requested because also the commission may not necessarily wait for us to request. They at times, practically, I think historically, they have sent staff that we have not requested. Thank you.
Proceed. Thank you, Chair. The clarity here, like you've explained, you're saying some you requested, meaning according to the establishment you requested. The excess we are talking about, you did not request for it. Chair, I think there is no need for us to continue talking about this, but I don't know whether other members have got anything. Thank you, Chair.
Right. Honorable Kolala, I hear your submission. We'll comment on it. Yes, Honorable Smumba.
Thank you very much, Chair. He has stated to say we are waiting for the staff establishment from the Commission. Kindly confirm to the committee that we are operating without a staff establishment. I submit, Chair.
Proceed, TC.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted clarity. In our response, we are saying we have not received which paragraph?
Thank you very much, Chair. On page 9, reasons for a query. You are saying action taken. The council wishes to report that quarterly staff returns and vacancy reports were submitted to the commission for their action and was waiting a response so that the staff overemployment could be normalized in accordance with the Local Government Service Commission. That's why I was asking to say, are you still working without the staff establishment? I submit, Chair.
Proceed, TC.
Okay, thanks for the clarity. So in the response, Chair, we are stating that the overemployment is acknowledged, and then our duty now, my duty as town clerk, is to update or appraise the service commission on the status quo. So we do that by way of submitting staff returns. So the staff returns clearly show that this is the situation, and then the commission is expected to make a decision and communicate back to us. So that is the response we are waiting for.
Parent Ministry, there's a statement from the town clerk that they have a staff establishment and the local government commission, which works closely with yourselves, sends staff. They push staff to the councils, even when the councils do not need that staff. Confirm how you're working with the local government commission on that matter. We do know that we'll have LGC here as a witness later on, but would you like to input?
Thank you, Chair. I take note of that submission from the council, just like another council that has appeared before this committee. But I think maybe what is worth to submit is that the position of any council shouldn't be that is the mandate of the commission, because they are also within the value chain. each council has a full-fledged Department of Human Resource Administration. So I think it's a matter of them equally to be timely in terms of feedback to the Commission or indeed the Ministry, because at the end of the day, there's cost implication. However, I wish to submit that in our appearance on the 11th, the Ministry and the Commission details will be furnished to the committee. Thank you, Chair.
Proceed, Honorable Kolala.
Thank you, Chair. In addition to the information that we've been given there, when we go to part 2, failure to confirm staff, you've given the similar response. For the record's sake, the same way we've done with the first part, for the record's sake, are you saying, even on this one, the confirmation, you as a council, you did your part, but local government did not confirm them?
Thank you very much, Chair. Although the position now has changed slightly, because the Commission has devolved some HR functions up to level 3, Division 3. So those we handle them in-house. But as far as this query is concerned, those that were queried at that time, we didn't have the power to confirm. Our job was to recommend, appraise the staff and then recommend. So the submission we are making is that we did that, and then it's the response that we are waiting for from the Commission, and we are confirming that we received some, but some were still outstanding. And as at, I think yesterday, we received some, because we had submitted some more confirmations, and those have come. Thank you very much.
Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Do you know, here the implication is that some of these questions we are going to raise them with the Commission. Do you have evidence that you wrote to the Commission for confirmation of the staff in 2021? Thank you, Chair.
Town Clerk.
Chair, the submissions were made to the Commission. Even follow-up submissions in 2022 were also made. Even the latest, like I was saying, they were made. And just like I stated, I think we have received responses. Like even yesterday, like I was saying, the other week we also received some. Is it last week we received some responses? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Town Clerk, and we'll wind up on human capital by emphasizing that the biggest asset you have as a council is your human resource, and it's important that you keep them motivated and you ensure that you manage human capital optimally. Get the best, manage them optimally, let them be motivated. Now, you receiving human capital by the push system, even when you don't need them, raises a flag on both yourselves and the local government commission. It's incumbent upon yourselves to immediately state that we needed 10 firefighters, you sent us 20, and we don't have space for the other 10. You're on firm ground. It's called human resource management. And you copy the relevant officers. Yeah, and that will impact, if doing otherwise will impact on your revenue, on your projections for income. You'll be paying salaries you didn't plan for, and you'll be demotivating people by delaying to pay them salaries. So I would like you to pay particular attention to human resource management and ensure that your human resource management system is up and running, and your collaborations with the local government commission and the ministry are up to speed. We will put it on record that there are questions that we need to deal with the local government commission and the parent ministry. Yeah, but we hear your submission, and we will quickly move to management of assets. Honorable Masao September.
Thank you, Chair. TC, I'll take you to page 11, management of assets, failure to ensure motor vehicle. TC.
Just your microphone, Honorable.
TC, why were you not following the provision of the law relating to the insurance of the motor vehicle? That's question number 1. Question number 2. What is the status of the vehicle that was not insured? I submit, Chair.
Proceed, TC.
Thank you very much. Can I allow the Director of Finance to comment?
Obliged.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. In our submission, Chair, I think we just delayed to conclude the issues because you know we are highly indebted. Then when we are supposed to pay, then there is this issue of sitting on the round table to negotiate on how best we are going to pay the bill. So that a little bit delayed, but we quickly concluded, and then we had to insure the vehicles because there's that agreement to pay a down payment, then you conclude as we go. So basically that is the challenge that we had, but the status quo is that we managed and all the vehicles are insured. Also, the follow-up question on the one is that it is also insured. I submit, Chair.
Follow-up question, Honorable Kolala.
Thank you, Chair. TC, my question will come direct to you. You will find that such kind of actions would cost the government. What is it supposed to be done to an officer who causes this?
Chair, the government regulations are clear, and there are sanctions that can be meted on such an officer, sir. I thank you.
Here, you've not indicated what sanctions you've pushed in on those people who caused the loss here. Does it mean nothing has been done? You've not followed the government procedure that you've mentioned?
Thank you very much, Chair. Maybe I'll request again to refer to the response that we have given, because the cause we have stated that arose from the protracted negotiations with the insurance company. So as we were negotiating, and then that calamity befell on the council. Yeah. So the times that a charge is placed on an officer is where you can specifically assign culpability, okay, and that. But we were in the process of negotiating, and then a calamity befell us. So at the time we were closing negotiations and we were given the cover, so that calamity had already occurred. Thank you.
Chair, the normal procedure is you can't allow the vehicle that is not insured to begin working. Already it's going against the law. Are you saying it was correct for somebody to allow the vehicle that is not yet insured? You're still in that process of negotiating to be on the road and working?
Thank you, Chair. One of my team members wants to come in. Is that okay?
Proceed.
Thank you.
Chair, basically, as you might be aware, that there are two types of insurance covers. There is comprehensive, and then there is third-party insurance. At the time when this vehicle was involved in an accident, it was on third-party insurance, not on comprehensive insurance. I submit, Chair. Thank you.
Chair.
Chair, is it allowed? Just for credit's sake, we need to know. Is it allowed for a government vehicle to be put on third party?
Town Clerk and your team.
Chair, I may not answer directly because I think I need to refresh myself with regulations and the like. Right now, I'm not in a position to state exactly whether it's allowed or not allowed. Thank you.
Right. Honorable Smumba.
Chair.
Honorable Sir Masausa, sorry.
Chair, TC, do you have any evidence to show this committee that that vehicle was insured under third party? Thank you, Chair.
Proceed, TC.
Yeah.
I'm sure as one of your team members is looking for that record, I'll allow Honorable Smumba to follow up with the question.
Thank you very much, Chair. Mine is only to inquire. I wanted to find out from the TC when was the very vehicle purchased, because we are looking at the date at which it was involved in the road accident. That was on the 2nd October 2021. So I want to know when was it purchased so that we tally with the date that was involved in the road accident. I can submit, Chair.
Town Clerk, you can handle both questions.
Okay, thank you. Are you able to tell as at now, Chair, we are not able to tell unless we look at the white book.
Town Clerk will put that question in the basket, and as your team cross-checks their reference documents, you alert us when you have that response. Meantime, Honorable Masausa can proceed. On title deeds. They're checking for the record. They're checking for the record, and they'll get back to us, so you can proceed with title deeds.
Lack of title deeds. Did it have to wait for the auditor for you to locate the plot number and the survey diagram?
Thank you, Chair. Without wasting the committee's time, I think that was a serious slap on us. It was a very, very serious lapse, and but we take solace in the fact that it has been rectified, and we now have the titles. We are just waiting for the last titles to come out, and going forward, maybe as a way forward, each property that is assigned to the council as an institution, we will make sure that titles are obtained there and then without waiting for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kolala.
Thank you, Chair. It's good to acknowledge. But again, it should be consoling looking at what you're doing. You've started the process, but for the remaining 26, you've not given us the time frame. Could it be one of those that even next year we are going to sit and find it's not yet done?
Definitely no, Chair.
Well, thank you very much. And Town Clerk, as we wind up on this particular one, asset management is extremely important. You spend millions of kwacha on procuring a vehicle. Insurance basically secures the vehicle against unforeseen circumstances such as accidents, fires, and so on and so forth. So I wouldn't even want you to refer to any law, any provision in your operations as a council, but just note that you can't buy a vehicle for 1 million kwacha, insure it for a third party as an institution, then get into an accident and you lose that 1 million kwacha. That's not the way you manage your assets. So asset management broadly requires that you secure your assets. You hold power in trust for the people. You control resources, that you hold in trust for the people, so we expect you to put in measures to secure all the assets. So it's a red flag that we would procure vehicles, new vehicles, and not insure them. This should not just happen. Constituency development funds are a topical issue, and I will allow Honorable Kampampi to proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I'll take you to page 13, management of CDF. I think on this one, we'll tackle it from both constituencies, because if you look at the audit queries which were raised, basically they're all the same. What I would like to find out from the TC is that when these projects were being considered, did you look at the engineer's estimates for you to come up with the cost associated to each contract? I submit, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I will start, then my Director of Engineering will also come in, just to consolidate. Chair, I want to submit that there is no project that we have started without our engineers assessing it and reporting to the CDF committee. We always do that. But in this instance, and many other instances historically, CDF committees have also resolved that we will implement the project in a phased manner. Okay, so they allocate less money with the view of spreading to starting a number of projects and the like. And when you look at the queries like you have rightly stated, the reason largely borders on inadequate funds, because that is what the CDF committee decided at that time. Yeah, so we have allocated more money. I think 2023, some we finished in 2022 because money was allocated, then some there have been allocated money. So once we receive for 2023, I think we'll close all the outstanding projects. I thank you.
Honorable Kampampi, you can proceed with your follow-up questions.
It worries me, Chair, if I could hear a question, an answer coming from the TC based on what he has alluded to. A municipal council, rather a city council like Kabwe, it seems all these works were based on labor-based contract, right, TC?
Yes, Chair, they were labor-based.
It worries me, as I said, Chair, because from the records which I've gathered from the time I've been Member of Parliament, all labor-based contracts never finish on time. I would like to find out what necessitated the council to be going for labor-based contract instead of a full contract. I submit, Chair.
Town Clerk.
Thank you very much, Chair. The idea then was to accommodate more projects. You remember at the time we were receiving 1.6 million. Yeah, so the community felt we could have more projects if council did them in-house. You just procure materials and you look for a bricklayer to finish them. But I think experience has showed the opposite. No wonder in our remedial measures and action taken, we are saying all the labor-based contracts, we cancelled them. And these projects, even the ones that we finished 2022, we had to bring them on full contract. Because in that way, after analyzing, we discovered that the risk of delayed projects, even complete failure to finish projects, will be eliminated, because those risks are passed on to the contractor, and then you get the natural benefits from private sector, which are efficiency gains, finish on time and within the cost. Thank you.
Proceed, Honorable Kampampi.
Chair, TC, as technocrats, don't you think it's your role to advise the CDF committees on what is expected of them? Because at the end of the day, as much as the community would need 10 projects, it's you to advise them to say, if we approve all the 10 projects, which will end up finishing after 6 years, would have done nothing. Don't you think on that one you are missing out to advise the committees to say, we cannot take on 10 projects. We can only manage to do this much projects from the amount which we've been given. I submit, Chair.
Town Clerk?
Thank you, Chair. We advised, we always advise, Chair, but you know the nature of the advice, it can be accepted or not. So at that time we advised, but the CDF committee insisted that we wanted to go that way. Right now we have advised, the CDF committee now has agreed to our advice, and we are putting these projects on full contract. And going forward for Cabo, you will not see a labor-based contract. Even right now, there are no labor-based contracts there. Thank you.
Right. Are you done, Honorable Kampampi? Please proceed, you have the floor.
I'd like to find out the status of all these projects which were stored for quite some time. Where are we with these projects? I submit, Chair.
Can I allow the Director Engineering to come in?
Director Engineering, proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. The progress on almost all of the projects that were put from labor-based to full contracts are all above 50%. And then those that had inadequate funding were recently advertised for full contracts, as at the time that we were moving from labor-based to full contracts, there was inadequate funding. So as the CDF sat through, they looked at the balances on all the projects and allocated the remaining balances on the projects that were labor-based to move them to full contract. So as I'm talking as at now, there are no projects that are on labor-based, and we are recently awarding the last projects that were on labor-based on full contract as of last week. Yes, sir.
Right, Honorable Smumba.
Thank you very much, Chair. Over expenditure on the project of Nakori Clinic Mother Shelter. Chair, there is over expenditure of 560,000 kwacha to complete a full contract. My question is, how much was the initial? Or before I ask you that, was the works engineering involved when coming up with this estimation for the budget of the initial project? Was the director works involved in this project? If he was involved, why are we having an overpayment of 560,000 kwacha? I submit, Chair.
Town Clerk.
I'm requesting to allow the Director of Engineering to come in.
Proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think it's just a point of correction there. The project was allocated 100,000 kwacha, and we had an over expenditure of 9,000 kwacha. The 500 is coming up because we are moving from a labor-based contract to a full contract. So those are the cost implications. We are going to, actually we have already awarded this contract. It's already ongoing, and the 560 kwacha is what was allocated for the project to complete under full contract. And then the explanation for the expenditure was due to price fluctuations at the time, because we're procuring materials during the period of COVID. Prices were fluctuating almost every week. So that was the 9,000. That was the reason of the fluctuation. I submit, Chair.
Proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. There is also another observation on the installed construction of a classroom, which is on page 23. Is it Maganyama, where you have told this committee to say the project has been given to the district health office. You can get that. The council involved the district health to intervene by assisting the council with evidence of the ownership. Chair, I wanted to find out who then, if the council cannot know the ownership of the plot, who then was involved in the allocation of this plot. I thank you, Chair.
Proceed, TC.
Yes, still Director Engineering can explain on that.
Director Engineer, you're on the spot.
Thank you very much, Chair. So before a project is awarded, there's an appraisal team that goes on the ground to assess and give technical advice. So at the time of review, a team went on the ground. Usually these lands for projects are identified by the councillors and the MPs and the like. So the community had identified this land to have a school. Okay, so we had no opposition to that since the community chose to have that land for the school. Nearby that land was a clinic that was just nearby the land that allocated. So later on, after we started the project, reaching a roof level, the clinic came up to say we want to expand the clinic, and I feel that this land still belongs to us. So there was that dispute that we had to sit down and settle. So after settling that dispute, we had to go back to the health officers, the DHO, to assist us with the petitions because the building was already at roof level and we could not go back. So we had to seek assistance and guidance from them to give us petitions of the already made structure to at least accommodate structures that will assist the clinic in a way. So what stands on the ground is that those structures are going to be a laboratory and maternity wing, owing to the fact that there's a directive to have at least a maternity wing at every health facility. So that's going ahead. I submit, Chair.
Thanks so much indeed. Honorable Kampamp, you'd like to? Yes, Chair.
Yeah. Chair, out of curiosity again, I would like to find out how the working relationship was then with the two members of parliament. Because from what I've already seen is the government has ended up spending more money on these projects. Because if these projects were financed then during that particular time, the government would not have spent what they're spending now. Because some of these issues will go with the relationship the council has with the area member of parliament, because the area member of parliament can easily convince the committee to say, oh, let us not take all these projects, let us look at the amount of monies we have and work within the allocated funds. So, Chair, I would like to find out how then the working relationship was with the area members of parliament. I submit, Chair.
Well, as you provoke nostalgic memories of how they worked with former members of parliament, I'll allow Honorable Mr. Sotembo to ask his questions so that you answer them collectively.
Thank you, Chair. TC, I just want to find out the same property at Magada Nyama. Is this property on title deed?
Right, you can handle both questions.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know with your guidance whether commenting on a historical relationship when the town clerk was not there still falls within the perpetual. Yeah, so I would request, if it pleases the committee, that I may reserve the comments there because I may mislead the House.
Much accepted. Sure. Proceed.
Yeah. In terms of this project falls in an area which is a site and service. Yeah, there. We give titles there, but right now I think it's not part of the response. So I may also mislead the committee either to confirm or not whether we have already issued that certificate. We call them what? Occupants? Occupant certificates, yeah.
Right. We'll basket it and then we'll wait for it. Honorable Kolala.
Thank you, Chair. I think there's just one point where I thought it should have been clarified, where the response was very clear. But I thought where you were saying the engineers, the estimate was 249, but you approved 215. Meaning even the work, the scope of the work was not going to be complete. And I feel if this information was supported and given to the Auditor General, it wouldn't have been an audit query. Why was it not clarified when the Auditor General was at your office?
Chair, that information was provided. We always provide. But maybe the auditors felt that they should still sustain the query because the structure was incomplete. So I think the query on their part was that the structure is not completed. So it can only be dropped if the structure is complete. I think they approached it from a utility perspective. So the structure must be completed so that the citizens must be able to access the service. So it's from the utility perspective. That's my thinking. I thank you, Chair.
Well, thank you very much. Did you, by any chance, did you find out if that certificate, that honorable this occupant certificate, engineer, any data on that for Magadanyama?
No, Chair, we have not attached it here.
Right.
So we may not state categorically. Thanks.
Right. Yes.
The third-party insurance.
Did you manage to get any documents on insurance?
Again, Chair, we have not attached it here. So for that one, maybe we apologize.
Right, we'll leave it to the follow-ups by our audit colleagues, our permanent witnesses. CDF is a critical subject today and historically. When people elect a member of parliament, they sign a social contract based on the promises that were made during the campaigns. It's for this reason that members of parliament will insist on certain projects in education, in health, in infrastructure, work with them, collaborate with them, with the ward development committees and the CDF committees. But remember that you are the technocrats, so you need to provide technical support. Our aspiration as members of parliament are that we provide universal education to all children who are eligible, universal health access to all our citizens, we ensure the markets are done and all the roads are done. Before we even look at the amount of money that comes, those are our aspirations, because that's what we say on those platforms. Yours is to ensure that you harness those energies, translate that vision into what is workable, and you plan it accordingly. And that's the reason why we're insisting that with the devolution of powers, decentralization, to local government, development of funds to local government, there are a lot of responsibilities that have been given to you as local councils. Be stringent, be prudent. Judiciary integrity will be critical, indispensable, actually. And so it is important that your plans are done and done well, and ensure that you follow those plans and execute in line with and in coordination and coherently so with other stakeholders, as your IDF says. So your IDF must be done and done quickly, and you must start acting and implementing or executing according to your integrated development plan. If you have your Department of Health, your Department of Education, Department of Agriculture in one DDCC, you'll be able to offer solutions in an integrated manner to your communities. So I'm insisting, IDF, IDP, extremely important. You said you had no enough money to insure vehicles. That's why I'm insisting. The committee is insisting revenue generation. You've got capacity to raise revenue. Just make sure that you up your game. You raise revenue, you'll be able to insure vehicles, you'll be able to provide services to your people. Management of assets, management of human capital, management of assets, very important. We thank you, Town Clerk, for coming with your team, and I'll allow the permanent members now to just give some comments and support. Auditor General.
Thank you, Chair. We would like to urge the Council that we've noted the submission and take note of the wise counsel from this committee our team will be coming to verify the responses that have been submitted to this House. I submit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your submissions. I would like to still insist that the management respond to the internal audit queries which are presented before you, so that you work on them as the external auditors are coming through. You would have these queries, some of these will not be here. Thank you.
From the Ministry of Finance, we cannot overemphasize what the advice of the committee has been. Budget performance issues, CDF management, asset management issues, and there are enough regulations and legislative documents that inform how you discharge functions according to this. So just improve your internal control systems as well. Just keep enhancing them by following what the provisions of the law are. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, TC. I think just to re-echo the committee's position, what will keep you increasing your revenue generation is evidence of service delivery in the community, so that our people should have the motivation of why they should pay. Service delivery is very key. Equally for Kabwe, I think one issue which is critical is on your motel. How you prioritize key projects on revenue is very, very critical. And lastly, maybe on staffing matters, again, I just want to re-echo, though you have already submitted that the commission has devolved this function, but that's one part. The other part is to have our HR departments to be up to speed in terms of resolving these matters. Thank you, Chair.
So, Town Clerk and your team, we would like you to take note of the comments from the permanent witnesses. The importance of internal audit is that you can self-assess, and you can pick up the audit queries yourselves and work on them, and you would actually be able to deal with the external auditors as they come, in the sense that you would have ensured that all the audit queries are dealt with. One, but even before that, pre-audit will give you an opportunity to prevent the audit queries themselves. So it's extremely important that you strengthen internal audit functions and ensure that there are no slip-ups. There is need for you to pitch performance, place premium on performance, pitch the need to perform optimally, very high, and ensure that you invest in good human capital. I see human capital here that is very wise and intelligent. By the board heads, I see board heads a sign of wisdom. I don't think that's a barbershop. I think it's a sign of wisdom. So keep up the investment in good human capital. Your plan must be up to speed. Your targets must be met. Your M&E must be very strong. Whenever you see you are not meeting the target, don't wait for external auditors. It's your own performance. Make sure that you align your implementation to your set targets and deliver to the aspirations of the people. The power you hold is in trust for the people, and remember that they are the owners of the assets that you are managing there. Serve them, involve them in resolution of service delivery issues. We thank you for coming. We hope not to see you next year, because we believe that you've set a new paradigm of good performance, and at this point in time we will withdraw the immunity that was imposed on you, and so that you can freely go and do other works. Thanks for coming, Kabwe.
Thank you, Chair. We thank you for the wisdom that you have given us, and we will ride on it to even improve further in our performance. Thank you.